The Free Agents podcast contains mature themes and adult language. Any discussion of gambling is for entertainment purposes only. Please abide by all laws in your location regarding gambling.
This should be our intro. Can we start?
This week on The Free Agents.
We get to the Houston section of this podcast.
Oh man,
I don't know, man. I think I want to come back on them. I feel like it's like 3 bad weeks in a row. This is when everyone stops betting on.
It's too easy for any defense to stack the box. If they know you're going to run, they can stop it, and you just can't make enough down distance to kill the clock with 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes.
You know who's to blame for this? It's not a good week if your name begins with a D and you play for the Dallas Cowboys because you're hurt.
Welcome to the Free Agent Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Smarge. Joining us in studio this week, we have LJ, John Bedreau. How are you today, LJ?
I am here. Happy to be in studio.
Rare in-studio appearance. And joining us this week, again, rejoining us, Frenchie the Greek. How are you?
I'm good. Good
this
today.
week, Frenchie. Are you fired up for Thursday night football action?
Always, man. Come on. We keep talking about this. I always can't wait for it, you know.
You're really fired up for Seattle and Arizona this week on short rest?
Sure, why not? There's one good team playing.
The short rest bowl, as I've learned to call it, where more errors were happening than things go right. I mean, wouldn't we be better off having San Diego and Oakland have every one of their home games happen at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night?
Yeah, we need that more often.
Eastern time. Wouldn't that be better if you could just... You would end the Sunday night game on NBC. Just tell everybody switch over to the NFL Network.
Yeah,
we're going to have late night football. There were guys that wrote into these prominent columnists nationally and said, "It's great. All the kids are in bed. I can watch football now.
Yeah,
everything. This is great. I can watch some football." So anybody in the Midwest, Mountain West, or the West Coast,
it's good for them.
It's great for them.
They don't care.
They don't because they wake up. And football's already on, and the wife is telling them, "No, we got to go. The girls have soccer and this and that," so they don't get to watch their 1 o'clock game that like the East Coast does.
The demographic that it hurts is the 9 to 5ers on Monday, but fuck them.
If
they want to watch it, they can go to work tired.
Exactly. They have to.
But I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
I mean, I only made it till I think about 2:15. I think I fell asleep like this,
passed out
in my friend's
ball,
and then woke up at 6:30 and checked my phone to see about 4 missed calls and 5 texts from my girlfriend. Where the hell are you?
Are you alive?
What are you doing to me? Sleeping.
Sorry, honey. I was watching a late night football game.
What? There's football on that late? Well, there is now. There is today.
I'm sorry. I'll call the lawyer now.
Yeah.
We'll file the divorce papers. But seriously, Seattle and Arizona, wouldn't that be a better game on a late night on Sunday when they've had proper rest, time to actually plan for a game?
Yeah. You know
that's why I don't like Thursday night football, because they don't allow you proper time to deliver at a higher level than you're normally used to delivering.
The perfect product.
It's not even the perfect product. It's just this is delivering an inferior product. I mean, you're a chef. How many times do you want to deliver a bad dish?
You're right. Never.
Exactly. You would rather put out something that people enjoy eating.
The best product that
exactly.
you can.
You want to put out something good, unless the customer pisses you off.
No, you're totally right.
Yeah.
Maybe a big injury would be something that would maybe rock the Thursday night world. But you really think they'd give in, though?
No, they're not going to give in. They're making too much money. Late night Sunday versus Thursday night prime time.
They're going to get more money Thursday. Exactly. More people live on the East Coast.
So New York City is served by the East Coast. New York City is a massive. New England and New York City and all the way down into the corridor into D.C. is probably the most densely populated area of the country.
Yeah.
So they take up a huge portion of the medium market.
So they're serving this population.
It'd be so weird to live in the West Coast and like, Monday Night Football's coming up. It's going to be 5 o'clock. I'm just getting off work.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can get used to that. You'd be in such a rush all the time. And then when it's over, then what?
Then you go back to work. Yeah, what you do is you leave work early, you go plan your game, and then you go finish your work later in the night. In the West Coast, it's weird. You would have to adjust your schedule.
I've been out there for a Sunday. I mean, the 10 o'clock start was tough enough. But
my uncle he goes to the bar for breakfast.
Yeah,
he's one of those guys. And he loves it because he can watch his football at the bar every Sunday when he goes to the bar for his Bloody Marys and hanging out and watching football. It's a different event. It becomes something different than what we're used to.
Oh, it's good. I'm not the only one drinking at 10 a.m. on Sunday.
Nah, I mean, you and Uncle George would have a blast.
Granted, it's only 7 when I start drinking in California. I mean, in California, it's only 7. When I start drinking here, it's 10. Just because the bar I go to fill out the pool, like everyone else is drinking. Like a Miller High Life for breakfast is not a bad thing.
No,
it's a nice
sweet. Don't judge me.
No,
sorry.
Nothing wrong with that.
Do you put a raw egg in it when you're hungover?
No.
I've seen that little concoction.
Beer.
You put the raw egg and you put a shot of Tabasco and then you slug some vodka down with your beer.
Vodka.
It's the hair of the dog that bit you the night before.
Yeah, the hair of the dog works.
Along with some protein and a little kick to make you feel better.
As long as you don't have to go to work, don't start doing that. Any listeners out there, don't hair of the dog before you go into work. Just do it. Just do it on your regular hangover like that day. You don't have to feel as bad about yourself.
I'm longing for the days where there used to be a barrel of cider. Every building you walked into, you'd get a cup of cider as you went in the door. Hard cider used to be, you could go have a cup of hard cider every place you visited. There was a lot of alcoholism back then.
There was. Too. That stuff wasn't as strong, though, back then.
It was like 2%.
Yeah.
It was more just a beverage than it was something to get you messed up.
That's a lot of what brought on the push for prohibition. A lot of the problems that they had back then is before you had, like you said, everywhere you had cider and beer, but it's all, it's not super strong, 5%, 7% beer, 80 proof, 100 proof, overproof liquor.
Then they discovered whiskey.
As soon as that started happening, that's when all hell broke loose.
Then that was the devil's juice.
Yeah.
The whiskey. So we're going to stick with football or we're going to... Let's finish up some football.
Yeah, let's talk football, and then we'll get on to the
home dog Thursday
playoffs.
Night.
Other than it being a Thursday night game, do you have any interest in this game as a gambler? Do you see any value in Arizona, Seattle?
I always have interest in home underdogs, but 6.5. It'd have to move to 7 to be to think about being fully committed. I don't think I will be fully committed, but for any teaser bettors, taking Seattle down to a win isn't probably a bad idea for them. Or going the other way with Arizona. But you'd want to cross 14 there.
I'm having issues with Seattle right now in their offense. They're not scoring any points.
Yeah, they seem to be faltering.
They're really, the run game is not really getting off much. Russell Wilson, if you draft him as a fantasy quarterback, has disappointed you. Do we really have anything to talk about when it comes to Seattle's? Is there a problem with Seattle's offense?
Well, I think the real problem, LJ, is that they still depend a lot on that running game. And in this league, one thing a running back doesn't do for you is consistently carry you to wins throughout the regular season. The running game is really important, I think, in the playoffs, in situational football, when you need to win that one game to advance. And you're in a spot, you need to shut those guys down. But relying on Marshawn Lynch every week, and clearly they've been struggling in the passing game some, is just not going to do it in this NFL. I don't think.
I'm just saying, I haven't seen them get out to a lead, get out to just dominate anybody. Their offense is not as good as I thought it was going to be. And maybe it's because they don't have that prominent wide receiver. Maybe when they get Percy Harvin in that offense, it turns into something different. But right now, it's a very bland, plain, run-of-the-mill offense with an exciting quarterback that can take off and run every now and then.
It's funny that you say that because it is true. It's funny how much value the public gives this team week in and week out. They think they're easily a Super Bowl team. Many people do across the country.
Certainly,
I don't blame you for thinking that. At the
beginning of the season, the first few games, they were looking
let's see them consistently light everybody up before you anoint certain people. And there's always going to be value on the other side in these Seattle games this year because they're really hyped up. And that doesn't mean they're a bad team. They're really hyped up. It was obviously
like the week they played Indianapolis.
Yeah,
there was a ton of value taking Indianapolis at home that week.
I was in Indianapolis, but same thing.
Yeah.
Home underdog. Like they were two good teams in that instance. Now I'm not going to bet against Seattle when they're at home. That's
just suicidal. But even this week, I wouldn't have touched the game.
Spreads. That was a tough line.
That's the problem is their offense is not scoring, so you can't take them when they have a big line at home because you can't trust them to put up enough points to cover.
Yeah.
They're going to win, but are they going to put up enough points to cover a big line? Yeah. And when I looked at that 12-point spread, even with Ryan Fitzpatrick there, you still have to ask yourself, do they have enough? Tennessee's defense was decent enough to give a bland offense some problems.
Yeah, you're right. And looking back on it, like I regret not giving that game more attention. But it's just strictly a no play in my mind. I mean, mainly because of Fitzpatrick, though. That
I would have played it, but in my head, I'm thinking it's a lot of points.
Yeah.
It's a lot of points for an offense to cover. Speaking of points and being scored, St. Louis and Carolina scored a lot of points last week.
St. Louis, yeah, that was their best game of the year.
Points. Houston's a mess. When we get to the Houston section of this podcast.
Oh, man.
I don't know, man. I think I want to come back on them. I feel like it's like 3 bad weeks in a row. This is when everyone stops betting on them. Like that's when, that's when you put it in.
There might be some value there, but overall.
I don't know. But I don't know.
I know what you mean. They're really bad. Well, how good is St. Louis? That's what I want to ask.
St. Louis is not that good.
No,
this was a mistake-prone team.
What happened?
I think Carolina at home only giving up 6 points. I think this is a very good chance to take advantage of St. Louis being overvalued right now because of that last game. I think Carolina that offense looked good last week. I know it was against Minnesota, and they've looked good against bad defenses. They look great against the Giants. I just get fooled by Cam Newton a little too much, I guess. But I like Carolina at home against St. Louis. Only giving up 6 points. Is just going off by what happened last week and what happened so far. I think Carolina covers this line handily. I think they beat St. Louis by 15, better than 15 points.
I couldn't agree with that. And they're back home finally, Carolina. They're just so. I just don't know if I'm ready to put money on Carolina yet. They're so weird. They put up 35 points in a win to Minnesota in Minnesota. Put up 6 points to a loss in Arizona. Before that, they had their bye, and then before that, they destroyed the Giants 38-0. Like you have 2 30-plus point maulings sandwiched with your bye week and then a 6-point effort.
And they had a 23-point effort in Buffalo against a pretty good Buffalo defense. Cam Newton's capable of doing great things. If Brandon LaFell can actually catch passes like he did this past week, Steve Smith, of course, was getting in fights. Some rookie challenged him to a fight I thought was hysterical. You don't start a fight with Steve Smith.
No.
He is the toughest guy in the NFL. But I think this is I don't know. I mean, Greg Olsen, they don't really have big weapons for Cam Newton to throw to. Steve Smith isn't what he used to be, and the other guys aren't that good. And if he had better receivers, good Lord, would he'd be so much better.
Well, that's the thing, LJ, is there's some real inconsistencies with this Carolina team. You're right. They look poised to beat that spread this week, but if St. Louis is able to get pressure and on Carolina and disrupt Cam Newton, then they may not be able to do it.
They ran the ball really well this week. They ran at will.
Yeah.
They've been, D'Angelo Williams, they can put the ball in the end zone, and Cam Newton's capable of throwing, so I like Carolina this week.
Cincinnati, Detroit. Detroit's about a field goal at home. That's going to be another good game to watch. At least 2 teams kind of trending in the right direction, I would say, upward.
I think 2 teams of equal questions. Both teams have question marks. I think Andy Dalton is not a good quarterback, and I think he's holding that team back. To be honest with you, I think he's the problem.
Well, they needed a good game from him. Otherwise, they were going to start thinking about that draft pick coming up. Yeah. And he gave them 3 touchdowns this week, and my fantasy team 3 touchdowns. Still riding that Dalton train, by the way, guys. nothing's stopping it because there's nothing on the waiver wire. Hate to say, but
there is nothing on our
position.
waiver wire. Frenchie crushed me this week. So
Oh, it wasn't a crushing. I just got by.
My team is abysmal. I
Cincinnati,
may not
I feel
Cincinnati's
bad for it.
lost to a bad Chicago team in Chicago, and they've lost to a not a good Cleveland team in Cleveland. They barely beat Buffalo, and they were able to beat New England in the rain, and New England stinks in the rain. And that's an overvalued win right there.
They beat
Massively
the Packers.
overvalued. Packers aren't
Beat
good.
the Packers.
Packers aren't good at defense this year.
It's enough to give that, I think, public a sense of wanting to bet on them because they won those 2 games. So it'll be interesting to see.
But then
what
if
this
you look
goes
at
from
Detroit,
here.
Detroit is equally as mysterious. I mean,
they're
what do you-
suffering on
Yeah.
the offensive front as far as receivers. So
But what do you do? This is a team you have. I mean, they beat Minnesota, but everybody beats Minnesota. They lost to Arizona. They beat Washington, but Washington's horrible, and they beat the Bears, and the Bears are not a good team. They lost to the Packers, and they beat Cleveland.
Stay away. That's what we do.
Yes, we stay away.
And we watched that one.
And do we? We have to wait to evaluate these teams. Are they playoff teams or are they duds? I mean, that's another one you have to ask yourself. But while we're asking ourselves that, let's talk about Buffalo and Miami.
This ain't, Miami off a bye here, and I've been interested in the teams off a bye this week. Like I said, with that Pittsburgh game last week, we were.
Are you ready to give up 7.5?
7.5? I don't think so.
Are you ready to? Who was Buffalo's quarterback this week?
I forget his name.
some guy.
Well, some guy was pretty good.
Some guy.
We got to look at Buffalo because Buffalo was pretty good this week. Some guy is named Thad Lewis with a name like Thad. But there was a contest put out there by Bill Barnwell at Grandland. He put it out there that on the day of the game, after it had started, if you started Thad Lewis in your fantasy team and you sent him a screen capture of him being in your starting lineup on Sunday with his point total there afterwards, you got entered into a contest to win something. And there's people, you can go read the article on Grantland. There's people with their screen captures.
Yeah.
And it was after the game had started. So these people didn't add them into his lineup just to win the contest.
Yeah.
This was after. So these were people that were
legitimately going to start.
started Thad Lewis for whatever reason in their fantasy league.
Amazing.
And they got him he got him 2 touchdowns and 216 yards. Is he good enough against Miami in Miami? Thad Lewis on the road.
No,
I don't want to take
in
that
7.5
against a pretty good Miami D in Miami. No.
So this is one of those ones you throw into a tease, correct?
You could consider a tease.
Along with Seattle.
You don't get the greatest number. It's 7.5 in some shops. It's already up to 8.5.
I see
And 9. So it's already on the move. So teasing it you would get your field goal. I mean, I'd feel a lot more comfortable if I could have them in a pick'em if the line was like 7 and consider
you could
a
move it
7-point teaser.
Maybe this is one you throw into a 3-team team.
I understand the rationalization. It could be a 3-teamer, and it wouldn't be an awful play, I don't think, if you tease this thing to under field goal and making sure it was 2.5. If we went from our 8,
Yeah.
trying to maintain the value, just a 6-pointer. But yeah, it's already, so there is money coming in on Miami already. If it's driven the lineup.
Because I think they're thinking just like we are. That this Buffalo, this is this kid Yates on the road, this is Miami on rest. This is a lot of stuff working in Miami's favor.
Mm-hmm. They're coming off that embarrassing Monday night loss, right, to the Saints?
Yes.
That
was embarrassing.
That is correct.
Now, let's move to northern Florida and Jacksonville.
Home dog here, plus
Yes.
7.5.
Now,
Maybe
this is
on the
San
way.
Diego coming off a short week. They played Monday night, and they have to travel clear across the country after playing on Monday night. Is this one of those things where you go, Jacksonville has a chance to win their first game of the season? Justin Blackman and Chad Henne have looked serviceable as a connection.
That's not that out of line. This is definitely a letdown spot after that big win against the Colts.
If you look at the Chargers' defensive stats, they're not good on defense. This week was surprising that they were able to shut down Indianapolis the way they were able to shut them down. Because their defense had not been good before that.
25th in passing yards allowed in the league. So there's something for Justin Blackman to think about.
Exactly.
They got a bye next week, too. So that's even more of, let's just beat Jacksonville. We got our bye. We'll go to the strip club. And then we'll come back and we'll be in Washington.
That's true. They can go to Tampa. Tampa has some good strip clubs.
I mean, they might be looking forward to the bye here and just assume that Jacksonville's an easy win. But, I mean, this number is going to go up. I mean, I think the consensus thing up here said it's already up to 9. And that's just on covers.com. But in the real world, it's 7.5 to 8.
Yeah.
And a half. So wait till kickoff if you like Jacksonville for sure. You probably get 10 points or damn near close to it.
See, I like that. I think Jacksonville will play this week.
That. Keep an eye on that. We'll throw it in. We'll throw it in Saturday.
All right.
When it gets closer.
When you do your column?
Yeah. Might as well. I mean, might as well throw something out there then. That's the bulk of the research for me is done on like Friday and Saturday night.
All right.
The Frenchie Files, as we introduced the Frenchie Files.
I like the Frenchie Files. LJ read the Frenchie Files and used them to his advantage.
Dude, I wrote that at like 2:45 and between
I know.
And 3:30 in the morning. I was like done for at that point.
I woke up at 11 in the morning on Saturday and I see your text and I'm like, oh my God, Frenchie spent all night writing this. I gotta put it up. And I was freaking out here and I was trying to get it up before the game started. It was Sunday morning. And I'm like, I gotta get this out before
that's when I
starts.
Get the bulk of my work done. I mean, I work till 11 p.m. and then I'm up till like 3, 4, up at 9 a.m. Not much sleeping goes on between Saturday and Sunday.
I'm a late night writer. I like to do work late at night.
Yeah,
when I was in school, I did my best work at that hour. It was just easy. Speaking of late nights, Atlanta.
Our other team off of a bye, laying a touchdown at home in a divisional game against Tampa. Smargy, what do you like?
I like Atlanta here. I don't know. 7's a little tough. I think Atlanta will win this game. Tampa Bay just seems in shambles, although they did announce absolutely nothing other than they still have staph infections. In fact, last week, we didn't talk about this, but last week the Players Association was on the verge of recommending that they not play because out of concern for infections for both Tampa Bay and Philly. And they got an expert to come in and rule that it would be okay. But we'll see. Now, it'll be interesting. Do players who played in Tampa Bay like Philly, do any of them end up with a staph infection?
This is the Falcons that have the infections?
No, this is Tampa Bay. So they're taking the MRSA on the road this week.
They've had some dirty facilities and a scumbag of a coach in Greg Schiano.
So
they're investigating the leaks that came out of Tampa Bay too during this whole Josh Freeman.
And that's really the bigger story there.
I don't like Greg Schiano. I think I have a theory that he was hired by the same athletic director that hired that guy named Rice that was the coach of the basketball team that they caught throwing basketballs at people and berating people and everything else. I think Schiano's the same type of person. I think this guy just had a fetish for coaches that were mean disciplinarian types. And I think Schiano's having some issues in Tampa Bay. Darrelle Revis said, I thought I left this kind of nonsense back in New York.
He made that comment.
Yeah. He made that comment. He does not like what's going on with what's happening in Tampa Bay. And now we've got Mike Glennon. Big Bird threw a couple of touchdowns last week, but he's not that good. He's still not. I mean, they played Arizona. No, and then they played Philly. They couldn't beat Philly. Philly has the worst defense. And Glennon's just not a good quarterback. I'm sorry. I mean, he had a decent game against Philadelphia. Decent. 273 yards and 2 touchdowns and an interception.
So what you're telling me is Tampa's going to have no bettors coming this weekend and in future weeks, most likely.
Yeah. Tampa Bay's not.
The staph infection. And then,
it's bad, French. They've had 3, because you haven't really been with us for the last few shows, but they've had 3 different players diagnosed with various staph infections, including former Giants kicker Lawrence Tynes. And what they did to this poor guy is they basically designated his injuries non-football related. So they screwed him out of all his money for this year by designating it, even though he got the infection from their, playing at their facilities. And that's how scummy that organization really
It's
is.
safe to say the Free Agents
said.
podcast does not like the Tampa Bay
No, we've been
Buccaneers.
all over them this year, really.
We don't like the way they treated Josh Freeman.
I took the under on their team total preseason.
Well, see, you weren't
7.5. Someone
right.
told me I was crazy. They're going to have a good year.
That was me, and I was wrong.
Was it just you? No.
I think it was just, I didn't say that.
I know a Bucks fan.
Well,
No,
I thought I was willing to
those
gamble
things
on
out.
Josh Freeman in a contract year. What I didn't realize was Greg Schiano was personally berating him into being a horrible quarterback. You went to the game, the Tampa Bay New England preseason game.
Yeah, the one I missed.
So I decided to watch it that night to see what was going on, and I saw a shook Josh Freeman.
Yeah.
I saw a guy that couldn't throw the ball, and I saw a coach that was just yelling at him. And I was like, this is not going to work. So I'm wondering if Leslie Frazier is going to be a more nurturing coach in Minnesota, because this week he's starting for the Vikings.
Freeman's getting the nod on Monday night, so he's gonna try to play his heart out and try to secure his future, essentially. So we'll see some.
Speaking of
We'll see some
insecure
plays.
futures, Chicago and Washington. If I was betting on the future of either one of these teams, I wouldn't know what to say. What do you make of Chicago so far, French?
Up and down, and I still don't trust. I still don't trust Cutler. I just really don't. And
Well, there's a theory out there right now that
People
says
do.
the offense is what's leading this team, and it's the defense now that has the issues. This is a prominent Bears fan has come out with that. This is a prominent national Bears fan said, right now I trust the offense more than I do the defense, and this for Bears fans is unusual. In Jay Cutler, they're trusting right now, and in the Bears defense, they're not.
yeah, that's good. I think it's gonna burn him. I think it's gonna catch up to him. I mean, they beat Cincinnati.
Yep.
Might be considered a good team. And they got Drummond by Detroit. And that game was fun to watch.
They barely beat Minnesota.
Barely beat Minnesota. Still put up some points. Pittsburgh's a mess.
Yeah.
But put up a lot of points on them. And that Detroit game, that was a big game for them to prove how good they were to get that win in the road and in a divisional game. And they couldn't do it. And their defense was so bad in that game. It was so bad. And then everyone goes out and bets the over because next week it's New Orleans, and then that thing sailed under. But still, why is this team playing the way it is? And obviously the Giants was a must-win game, but Eli was still able to throw all over again.
I do not like the Bears defense right now because everybody who pays attention says they're not good. And I've seen it myself, and I just don't like them. But you can't. I mean, Washington, their defense is just as bad, and their offense isn't even putting up the numbers. If you drafted Alfred Morris, good luck with that. I mean, Pierre Garçon and Robert Griffin have been the kings of the garbage time fantasy points, but they're not winning any games. So, I mean, Washington's 1-4. If it wasn't for the Giants, they'd be the ones being talked about right now as massive disappointments, correct?
Yes.
I mean, coming into the year
is almost set up as a trap in that instance because I think people think that the Skins aren't good right now. And then people, I think, will also, on the other hand, see Chicago and the fact that they've put up some points in a few games, and are coming off extra rest this week too. So maybe that would be an easy pick for them. In which instance, I think I like Washington a little bit here. I mean, I think a lot of people would say, "Oh, why isn't Chicago favored in this game?" Actually, looking at it, I mean, it's basically a pick 'em.
And I understand why it's a pick 'em because I'm still confused, and we just talked about it.
Yeah.
I don't know about either one of these.
Yeah,
teams.
you don't know about either. Let's stay away.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of stayaways this week. I think.
This is just awful. Awful.
Let's go on. New England.
Speaking of awful, Joe Smarge.
Yeah.
You're wearing your Andre Tippett jersey this week. Is he going to come out of retirement and play linebacker because Jared Mayo's
Yeah,
out
I don't know what
here?
you're going to do without Gerard Mayo there. I mean, it's...
Or Will Wolford, or,
they're banged up.
He's dead.
My God, and look, I got to give credit to Bill Belichick. He stopped Jimmy Graham with his idea of basically playing boxing one on him.
Yep.
They put Talib on him, And did you watch this, correct?
Yeah.
It was amazing, don't you think?
Was.
They took him out of the game.
Yeah.
By playing old school boxing one, Dean Smith, North Carolina.
They're a different team without Jimmy Graham. I haven't seen that game.
Yeah.
I mean,
they really
have
are.
to slow down in spurts.
It was huge. This was the key that Belichick said, here you go, NFL.
Yeah.
I just unlocked it for you. Now, do what I showed you to do.
Yeah. Well, I think,
But it's a shame that the Patriots are losing all these guys on defense, because this is a team. I mean, Belichick is doing some amazing coaching right now.
Oh, he definitely is.
I got to give him credit.
Here's the thing, LJ, is it definitely hurts the defense, but it hurts them most in terms of stopping the run, just because, especially with driving. I mean, that's really why they put him out there. He's mostly out there to stop the run. So a lot of it's going to depend on the matchups going forward. How many teams are really going to be set up to run on them? How many strong running teams are there that they face? Let me find the schedule here.
New Orleans was running on him, which was pretty scary, because New Orleans does not have a good running game.
No, they have
I think I saw Pierre Thomas breaking off 7-yard runs, and I was like, no, this isn't right. This shouldn't be happening. And New Orleans defense, did you catch the Rob Ryan face?
No,
after the touchdown?
I did not see.
The just defeated,
yeah.
It was beautiful. He had coached. That was just how did they not run out the clock? They ran the ball, then they weren't able to run out the clock, and it was just.
Well, here's the thing, LJ. I think this is
Sean Payton even a good coach anymore?
Sean Payton's a good coach. Here's the problem, LJ, and because I was thinking about the same thing from the Patriots' perspective. Here you are, they had the lead. Here you are, unable to keep Drew Brees and them off the field at the end of that game. And initially I was like having the typical fan rage. If you listen to fans, this week, they're all happy about the win. But the ones that are more critical of the team say, well, how are we going to win in the playoffs and going, this isn't good for our team because we can't go and keep the other team's offense off the field. We can't kill the clock. And that's exactly it, LJ. The league is changing. Yeah. And we're going to see more and more of these games that are a jump ball at the end because you just can't. It's too easy for any defense to stack the box. If they know you're going to run, they can stop it, and you just can't make enough down and distance to kill the clock with 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes left.
You know who's to blame for this? There's two guys that are to blame for this.
Who, LJ?
Bill Belichick is one of them.
Yeah.
And the other guy is the defensive coordinator for the Steelers. What's the
Masters of ball control.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. The defensive coordinators. Yeah. What Dick LeBeau and Bill Belichick did was they took the 3-4 defense and made it they run stopping defense. Teams that run the 3-4 you don't run on. Because they have big guys that stuff up the middle.
Yeah, they have a big
and you don't run between the tackles against these teams. You have to do something else. And that's what has changed with football. That's why you don't draft running backs in the first round anymore. That's why you don't do a lot of things. The running game has become a secondary option. It's pass first, run second in this league now. Which like you said, is going to lead to a lot of jump ball games.
And the problem is a lot of the fans, especially the more, the old school fans, they grew, in their minds, the Patriots and Bill Belichick will always represent that team that used to control the ball, could win by a field goal by keeping your offense off the field. And that was a way to win back in 2003 or 2004. But it's not the same league anymore. And fans haven't really adjusted to it, That's
Antoine Smith is not walking down that tunnel, ladies and gentlemen.
No. So you should be pretty happy about the Patriots, if you're a Patriots fan, with that win.
Now, are you happy that they're playing the Jets this week in New York, and it's a 4-point spread right now?
Oh, of course. That's that should be another easy match.
As long as it's not raining and it's not Thursday night, because that's what the Jets gave them a game because it was raining and it was Thursday night. And now that if there's no rain in the forecast, I think the Patriots win this game.
Yeah, well, the Jets haven't improved since they last faced them.
Geno Smith is a legitimate. He's better than.
Oh, he is. But overall, the Jets team hasn't really.
I could probably name 15 quarterbacks worse than Geno Smith right now.
I agree with that, LJ. He's been better for them, but still, overall, they haven't really improved that much. And the Patriots, they have this week. We have Danny Amendola will be playing again, so that's another weapon on the field, hopefully.
No, Danny Amendola's
out again
for the concussion.
Oh,
dude,
right.
He took a shot to the head.
I forgot all about that.
All you're doing is don't do that. Danny
so the Patriots' offense is in about the same state it was when they faced them in week 2.
Correct.
They should be able to beat them.
It's not. It's going to be an ugly
We
game.
should be able to beat them.
It's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be in New York. It's New England and the Jets. It's Belichick Ryan. It's going to be ugly. So sit down and watch. I wouldn't gamble on it.
No,
I don't
me
like
neither.
it.
Speaking of what they want you to take, they want you to take Dallas
Oh, good Lord.
+3.
DeMarco
Dallas, Philly. That's a
Murray
tough game
and
of the week.
DeMarcus Ware are both out. It's not a good week if your name begins with a D and you play for the Dallas Cowboys because you're hurt. That's a problem. They don't have their pass rushing expert nor their best running back. If you're looking for a guy, everybody says Randall's the pickup of the week now, the backup running back for the Cowboys against this porous Philadelphia defense. I like Dallas here, to be honest with you.
I think most people will. I think this will be a consensus thing because
It's in Philly, though. That's the problem.
yeah, that is a problem. That's why they're getting points. But I think a lot of people are going to look on paper and think Dallas is a better team. Well, number one, they're always more popular to be bet on.
Yeah.
And number two, last week they played Sunday night in another divisional game and handedly beat the Redskins. So when the public sees that, especially a high-profile team like Dallas playing a primetime game, they tend to bet them more the following week, thus giving value to the other side, but not in this case here. Like Philly's still favored. And the other thing is that Denver game a couple weeks ago. That's still fresh in people's minds. So I think there'll be a lot of tickets on Dallas.
Now, if you're Chip Kelly, do you stick with Nick Foles, who played pretty well, and is taking over for the injured Michael Vick, or Vick, who seems healthy? Do you go back to him?
I think they're gonna have to wait and see what happens this week. Obviously,
you have to pick a
Foles
starter for this week.
Well, I think they're holding Vick out. I think they already said it. They're already planning on it. I'm pretty sure, yeah. And then they're gonna wait one more week and see what they got. And then I think that decision will come next week. Yeah. You can't hold me to that, but I believe I saw that on a highlight today.
What do you think about this? The total is 55 here now. Do you think the score in this game is going to blow up in light of Dallas lacking their pass rusher?
I've had some issues with these big overs lately. They haven't lived up to the hype. They haven't. You've had these big overs on these prominent games, and this is a Dallas-Philadelphia game. This is probably the primetime 1:00 game.
Dallas just covered the other huge over-under of 57 or whatever 2 weeks ago too.
Ooh.
So that's why it's so high.
It's scary.
They're begging people to take the under almost because they know these things are going over.
Because Philadelphia can't stop anybody.
Yeah,
neither of them.
The question is this fill-in running? Is their backup running back going to get it done for them? We always say Dallas is a much better team when they can actually run the ball. Tony Romo's a better quarterback. So, it's going to come down to that. Can this guy run effectively for him in this game or not? Like you said, Philly can't really stop anybody, so he should be able to. But you never know. He's not a proven commodity.
I think Philly, I don't know.
They're going to try to run the ball too. Philly's great at running the ball, and they're going to be able to control.
As Damshek likes to call him, Shady McCoy.
Number one in the league in rushing.
Oh, I love Shady McCoy. I got him on fantasy teams up and down the fantasy universe.
I think we're going to see a well-managed game with Foles. And saying this right now is already in my head. I'm like, under?
Yeah,
maybe?
that's what I was
Foles looked really good. Foles threw the ball really well.
Yeah, I don't think he's
Deshaun
that bad.
Jackson liked the passes that were coming were just dropping right into Deshaun Jackson's hands. There was one beautiful. It's tough to ignore that Nick Foles looks good throwing in the pocket. And against this porous Dallas defense with Morris Claiborne at cornerback who can't seem to stop anybody, I think Deshaun Jackson's going to have a big day. I don't know.
I kind of like the Eagles a little bit here. Just on the instant of the contrarian perspective, and we got home field, so we have the best rusher in the league. It's Dallas. They can still put up points. They can still win. But
that's the thing. Dez Bryant. Philly doesn't have anybody that can cover Dez Bryant and Miles Austin or Jason Witten.
We'll have to see what this line does. It opened at 3, and it's down to between 2.5, and it looks like there's a 1 out there.
There's a 3 still out there too.
A 3 on and on line, yes. But it shouldn't. If anything, it's not going to go over -3. We know that. It probably won't go back to -3.
No.
But I consider consider Philadelphia. I mean, the only other option I'd see would be like teasing Dallas, and then you have over a touchdown. But let's move on. San Francisco, Tennessee, at Tennessee, NFC to AFC, not at 1 o'clock. Was just hoping that was maybe the West Coast at 1 o'clock thing, but it's not. What do you think?
San Francisco can run the ball, they can't pass the ball, and they can stop the run and they can't stop the pass. Tennessee can't throw right now because Ryan Fitzpatrick is not all that good. Tennessee is better at stopping the pass than they are stopping the run. This is a matchup made for the 49ers, and they're getting points.
They're favorites.
Value.
Wow, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they're laying 4 on the road.
They're laying 4 on the road. Still small enough number for me to like San Francisco here.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm usually the home underdog, but I mean, this is a stay away in my eyes again. But
and Tennessee does. They're not like Kansas City or Seattle at home, but Tennessee does get some kind of advantage for playing in Tennessee.
Yeah, they do have a pretty stout home crowd there.
Yeah.
They do get up for games, and they've been a lackluster team this year, so those fans will get excited if they come out there and put up a good fight against the Niners. You will get some fan interaction there, no doubt.
What is that? Why am I seeing a 7-point spread in there?
It opened. It looks like it opened at.
That's one of the crazy lines.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm looking at covers, and it looks
maybe it was.
The spread opened. San Francisco was the 7-point underdog when the line opened, and it's moved the other way now.
That could be that wasn't even in Las Vegas. The LVH had it at over a week ago, 6.5. But then, I mean, you got to go by like what happens on Monday or Tuesday, which is 4.5 in Las Vegas is what it opens at.
Yeah.
If you're
like
in
these
Vegas,
online guys will put out.
Yeah, they'll throw out.
You never know.
They shade a lot of those lines. They give everyone different lines and stuff too to protect their.
Houston,
Let's Kansas City.
Houston.
Now, this is an interesting one to talk about because we were talking, like I was saying earlier, about no one wants to bet on Houston now, so this is where the contrarian thing comes. But it's in Kansas City, and God damn it, I'm not going to bet on Houston in Kansas City.
And I wouldn't bet on T.J. Yates going up against Tamba Ali and Justin Houston and the rest of that crazy Kansas. This Kansas City defense is really good, and Andy Reid has been doing a really good job coaching this team. He's been managing this team very well. This has been a clinic in how to manage a team with a decent quarterback and great assets at all the other positions. I mean, he's got a great running back. Jamal Charles is all over the place, catching passes, running the ball, doing everything he needs to do. They don't pass the ball a lot, so you don't get to see a lot of Dwayne Bowe, but he's there. This is a team that everybody likes to talk about. Atlanta, once they crap the season, they trade Tony Gonzalez to Kansas City. And that's kind of like the piece that caps off the season for Kansas City to head to a postseason for the first time in a while.
Anthony Fasano, he's been nursing this injury for a couple weeks now. This guy's on the IR, pretty much dead.
That's what I'm saying.
Cal's that draft pick. It was an idiot, stupid pick I made in my draft, but whatever. It was like $1 in an auction.
Sean McGrath or Tony Gonzalez. What kind of security blanket would Alex Smith have if he had Tony Gonzalez there?
What a story that would be.
It'd be huge. Huge. The Kansas City fans would love it. And Houston is a disaster right now.
Exactly. And any teasers out there, go right now. Like right now. Don't wait till Sunday. Do it right now.
No, lock that in right now.
Tease Kansas City down to a pick 'em while you still have good value.
Why is the line going down in some places?
I think it opened at, let's see, what did it open at in Las Vegas? 6.5.
Yeah.
I mean, I only expect it'll go higher. I don't see any other way here.
Yeah, there's going to be money coming on Kansas City all week.
No one's betting on Houston.
I'm sorry, but Houston's a disaster. Unless they can pull some sort of miracle, they're on the way to firing Kubiak and on their way to. And here's the argument too. I was listening to two guys talk about this. If you're Houston, do you just be a mediocre playoff team? Are you happy being a mediocre? If you're a fan of this team, are you happy being a mediocre playoff team year in and year out? Because that's what Houston is. They've been a mediocre playoff team. They have no really serious chance at getting to the Super Bowl because they're mediocre. They're just mediocre enough to not push through to the next level. And it's Matt Schaub's fault, really. They've had pieces. If you were to take take a Tom Brady and drop him into that Houston team. They're a Super Bowl contender. They're not a mediocre playoff team. If you were to take any of the other prominent quarterbacks and you drop them in there, Schaub is the difference here. Mm-hmm. At least in my opinion.
Must be tough being a Houston fan because it's the same thing, mediocrity with the Rockets for a long time, but now they have some flash. And
no, this year the Rockets have an honest to goodness chance at championship.
What's their season win total under? On a side note, we should go under on it, whatever it is.
Okay.
Shh, don't tell anybody. I don't want the line to move.
Don't tell them.
It'd be just like taking the Toronto Blue Jays under this past year in baseball.
That was a smart move on your part.
That was a move right there.
You were going for the whole trend of super teams not looking good their first season.
Well, exactly. They have to play a season first.
It's a smart play on your part, but
Kansas City's killing it against the spread this year. Do you feel like they'll even out at some point? When they're first in points allowed and fifth in total yards defensively.
I don't see this
Things
changing
like that
unless there's
sometimes
injuries to the
don't even
defense.
out.
I don't see this changing. And I'm really looking forward to when they finally play Denver. Really looking forward to it.
This is our reevaluation process of Kansas City that we were talking about from earlier in the year. Remember we were saying wait and see approach.
Yeah.
I think we know what you see.
We see a very good defensive team that struggles to score points offensively, but they will get that defensive touchdown that usually gets you your cover. That's what I've been seeing. And I've been paying attention to Kansas City. I love my NFL red zone. I can see what's happening, and I get to look at them more than I would just watching a game. And this is a team that puts points on the board, but unconventionally. Mm-hmm. It's Jamal Charles and their defense. And their defense is, like I said, so good. And the offensive line has been protecting Alex Smith. Can't argue with that, and getting Jamal Charles' yards.
Look at these matchups the next 3 weeks. They have Houston, Cleveland, at Buffalo, bye week,
and then
Denver.
And then going to Denver.
Then San Diego, and then Denver again.
And then Washington, Oakland, a tough game in Indianapolis, and then a closing at San Diego.
Lots of traveling.
This is a team that potentially could end the season 14-2.
They could. Those games against Denver are going to be great games to watch. I think the Chargers games are going to be good. Yeah. I wouldn't count them out yet, and I think they could easily handle a loss. You never count on an
Oakland game. Oakland plays Kansas City tough year in and year out. Yeah. These division games are always tough. I don't know why.
Indianapolis as well. That'll be
Indianapolis, but Indianapolis has to travel, and it's Andrew Luck in the cold in Kansas City in December.
Yeah,
there's a difference than Andrew Luck in the dome in December against a team that's going to be blitzing the shit out of him.
Plus, at that point too, Indy could be. I don't think they'll be running away with the division, but they could be in a really good spot at that point in the year too. So that we'll see that could potentially be a pretty good game.
Speaking of another team decimated by injuries and problems, Green Bay. Randall Cobb is out 8 weeks. He broke a bone.
I still can't believe that like the line is 10, and this is like another no play game for me. It's just want nothing to do with Cleveland, but that's a lot of points to lay with this many injuries.
It's because Brandon Weeden is just not a good quarterback. The Hoyer experiment, for what it was, you saw the difference between Hoyer was better than Weeden. Weeden is just and it's so frustrating because Josh Gordon can catch passes and they ran the ball with Willis McGahee. They're still moving the ball. That offensive line with Joe Thomas is good. This is a Cleveland team that's a quarterback away from being a serious contender, not a mediocre playoff team. Like a serious contender for the whole shebang. Their defense is good. And with Green Bay having some issues with injuries, you're going to see a lot of Green Bay trying to run the ball and Cleveland blitzing, I think. I don't know. But like you said, stay away.
Well, you just help convince me. I'm like, hey, there's value there. By what you say, you're right. Looking at the numbers right now defensively. Like it's not terrible. They're not terrible numbers.
And Green Bay can't stop anybody. So if Cleveland just sticks to trying to run the ball and then dink and duck to Jordan Cameron and
we can get to the quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, poor Aaron Rodgers.
Protection. That was their issue. 53 quarterback hits allowed by the offensive line. Tied for first in the league. 24 sacks given up by the Cleveland Browns. Tied for second worst in the league.
Brandon Weeden problems there. He hangs on to the ball too long. But Green Bay's not good defensively, so that's my issue. Is there? I mean, even a bad offensive team can look good against a bad defense. Jacksonville put up points against bad defenses.
That's true. Well, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. You think your Steelers come back here and get another win?
I don't want them to be honest with you. I don't want them to win. Yeah. I didn't want them to win last week. You convinced me they were going to win last week, and I was disappointed. I was like, they're actually going to win, and this is very disappointing. I wanted them to tank this year. I've been looking at what article did I show you before the podcast? The top quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I want them to trade Roethlisberger to Houston.
Ooh.
Trade Roethlisberger to Houston. And they become not a mediocre playoff team anymore. And let the Steelers draft the kid Marcus Mariotti from Oregon. Remember the name, ladies and gentlemen. Best quarterback coming out of the draft this year. He's going to win the Heisman Trophy. Marcus Mariotti.
Okay.
I want the Steelers to draft him. And then I want them to fire Todd Haley. And I want them to bring in one of those sick offensive coordinators that runs one of those sick, crazy offenses. And then they've got Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown and a bunch of little wide receivers that would be great in one of them sick offenses.
Mm-hmm.
And then get themselves an extra tight end because Heath Miller is good at catching passes. Get one of those, go find one of those basketball players and put him at tight end and go crazy because their defense is average right now.
What about running back? Not going to need it in the system.
Le'Veon Bell looks good, doesn't he?
I guess so.
Le'Veon Bell, the answer? He can run the ball. I like him. I'm in on Le'Veon Bell.
Well, it's an interesting line.
But I don't trust my Steelers to do anything. The fact is they're at home, and that's the reason why they're getting a point. And Baltimore is one of those teams that we're waiting to see what they're really about right now. I mean, let's not forget they are the Super Bowl champions. Does that mean anything right now?
I say no. I mean, they can have their whole we're the best team going into week one thing, even if the whole roster changes, kind of like, I don't say the whole roster changed, but a lot of it did with them. But at the second those games start, you're no longer, you're no longer the best team.
Yeah, every season's, they're a different team each season, no doubt.
Just in their case. I mean, I want to say generally that always happens.
But I think Baltimore's defense is good enough to blitz through that porous Pittsburgh defensive or offensive line, which is just awful right now. And I think that's the difference. I think Pittsburgh loses this game in an ugly, ugly game. Ugly.
How about Denver Indy? That's the highlight game of the week, Sunday night.
Yeah, I like Denver by a lot. That's what I do. I like Denver by a lot.
I can't wait for this game. I think this is a game, and I think LJ's right. Denver is going to win, but we will find out some things about Indy in this game because this will be the best test for them, I think, yet.
They beat Seattle.
Yeah.
This is a test of their defense. That's what this is a test of. Is their defense really improved? Because Robert Mathis was supposed to be the guy that was getting all these sacks and couldn't get one against Phillip Rivers. I'm still of the belief, though, it was the Pagano brothers facing each other. One was a defensive coordinator on one team, and one was, the offensive guy for. I honestly think that one Pagano was inside the other Pagano's brain. I think that game was skewed by the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
If it was skewed by anything. But I mean, do you give Indianapolis the benefit of the doubt? It doesn't look like the I don't know. I think Peyton Manning's in evil Peyton Manning mode. He's going back to the dome he knows so well.
He does know that dome. Is it really home field? Yeah, the fans aren't going to be rooting for him. Maybe they'll just be happy if he wins anyways. We still love him.
They've been really nice to him. They've been the whole nice.
Yeah, I mean, the Indy fans are some hardcore fans, but it's not like Boston or Philadelphia where they're just going to boo, where they're just going to boo him because he's wearing the other jersey now. I don't, and it's not like he left there. It's not like he screwed the team over and got out. I mean,
Irsay. If anything, it's him versus Irsay. It's Peyton versus Irsay.
To be honest, the only way he could have pulled a Yankee Red Sox going to a different team if he had gone to the Ravens. Because the Baltimore fans, they're like, I don't know. I don't even think that works because Indy was the one that sold the team.
Those are unique situations, and also this just doesn't happen as much in the NFL because of the way everything's structured.
I like Denver here. I really do. I'm not sold on Indianapolis. I'm not sold on Indianapolis being ready to take it to the next level. By default, I mean, the team that wins the NFC South may go 8-7. So Indianapolis has a chance to be a playoff team, but a very mediocre at best playoff team.
How about this total? 56.
Well, it's a big total because it's Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning.
It is again. What are they? I think they're 5. Are they 6-0 to the over, Denver? Yes, they are 6-0 to the over.
So they're just covering machines when it comes to that over. So you're just going to bet the over this week? Is that your bet of the week?
Ride it till the wheels fall off?
Exactly. Why not, huh?
I haven't really been touching any of their overs, so I don't think I can get on now. You know, when the stock's up high.
He's like, no.
The time to buy was a week ago. Well, in the stock market it was.
All right. So, I mean, that's the game of the week. That's the Sunday night game of the week. And I think we might be disappointed when it's a Denver blowout.
How about Minnesota Giants? We can talk about our extra rest here because the Giants, not only do they get the extra 2 days, they get a third day because they play Monday night than a normal team.
This is the game the Giants get off the schneid. Minnesota's a really bad team. They were lucky to beat a really bad Steeler team, and that's the only victory they have all year. They're not good.
I think I agree with you here. They made this number tough because they want you to have a tough decision.
Yeah.
In that instance, I like the Giants here as well.
And the Giants, the Giants signed Peyton Hillis.
Oh, he's off of Tampa?
Peyton Hillis.
I saw him in the preseason game.
Coming to New York. For all those white guys that want a right running back, you get to. Peyton Hillis gave everybody flashbacks to Mike Allstott. That's what that was. Mike Allstott gave everybody flashes back to Merrill Hodge.
And they had to go and put him on the cover of Madden.
That was a fan vote, which shows you just how racist people are, huh?
Oh, wow. Wow.
They voted for the no, not Adrian Peterson, not any of the other prominent running backs that were there. They voted for the white guy that broke 1,000 yards. That Peyton Hill, he was way overdrafted by people because of his race. I swear to God, that's all it was.
It's always got to be about race. So in the baseball world, there's a playoff game going on right now.
Yeah,
the Dodgers just went up 6-2.
Yeah, in the bottom of the 8th. So it looks like the Dodgers are going to get back within one game of the series, and so they'll be at they'll have 2 wins in the series now. I've been watching a lot of it. I've been watching the Red Sox and I've been watching the Dodgers. It's just been great baseball. I mean, if you're a Red Sox fan, that performance you got from John Lackey last night was incredible. No one ever expected that out of John Lackey.
If you're a Red Sox fan, you don't be watching today's game because Adrian Gonzalez has 2 home runs and Carl Crawford has another home run.
Amazing.
So the former Red Sox are playing a prominent role in this game today.
So who do the Dodgers come back with tomorrow on the rotation?
Kershaw.
It's got to be Kershaw.
Yeah.
You can't lose that game and then not have
They set Kershaw up to pitch Game 6. And I mean, it's going back to he's got to win it in St. Louis. And then Wainwright's scheduled for them for Game 7, and that's the team they actually beat.
Versus Ryu.
Against Ryu.
That's going to be the one. I guess you got to hope Kershaw gets that win tomorrow. I do. I took a ticket on the Dodgers to win the series. So
I'd rather, and it's like rooting for the evil empire. This is the team that spent a bunch of money, but you want to see him as a non-partisan person in this fight. I'd like to see the Dodgers and the Red Sox play a World Series against each other.
Me too.
I think it'd be
the story of
that.
it is amazing. I mean, when you think about
it'd be the highest rated series in a long time, easily.
Everything from last year, and now half these players are playing for the Dodgers, and we're facing them
And then you have the Yasiel Puig factor. Mm-hmm. I mean, he is. Did you see Game 3 when he broke out of his shell and came out?
That was incredible. I mean, to me, that's been the greatest highlight, really, of all this postseason baseball. And there's been a lot of great stuff. But watching Puig play and just be one of these new rising stars in the league has just been incredible.
And you got Matt Carpenter for a rising star over with St. Louis. You got the stalwart veteran in Beltran and Holiday. You got Yadier Molina is the best catcher in baseball right now? Maybe Buster Posey'd have an argument with him, but I think Yadier's probably the best catcher. And you got Wainwright, who's second or third best pitcher in the National League?
Yeah.
Behind Kershaw? I mean, Kershaw's the best pitcher. Yeah. I mean, hands down. But I mean, this is a St. Louis team with massive amounts of talent. They got a good young, this kid Kelly what's his name in the bullpen there. He's not as good as, I think Kenley Jansen's just awesome in the bullpen.
Oh, I love Kenley.
He's a lights out closer.
He'll put up Kimbrel type numbers next year. He's got the K rate.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's probably going to wrap it up for us, guys. Next week it is next week, LJ. We're going to be doing the NBA preview.
We are. We're going to talk some NBA next week.
So we're actually going to have 2 shows. So make sure if you're not subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes, wherever you listen to the show. Make sure you get all our updates because we're going to be rolling out a whole NBA and NBA fantasy preview next week and doing our regular show as well. So that's going to be a really nice feature for everyone. And if you want to subscribe, just go to our website, freeagentspodcast.com, or find us on Facebook at Free Agents Podcast. And sign up there and like us and give us a shout out about the show. Let us know if you like it, don't like it, whatever your feedback is. We want to hear it.
If you don't care, tell us why you don't care. Maybe we can make you care.
I think we can do that. So I think that'll do it. You guys got anything else you want to say before we sign off here, guys?
We're looking at NBA over-under totals right now.
Oh, here we go.
54.5 from the Rockets and 45. What's? That's parentheses is less. Yeah, 54.5.
54.5 wins.
Going under.
Under 54.5 wins.